Thanks for being here on All That Jam. I believe you told me that you're headed to Iceland next week. Is that right?
Yeah, a week from today. Yep.
Nice. So what's
Yes.
happening over there?
I am engineering a brand new mono neon album at Floki Studios, which is in the northern part of Iceland. So I was just there actually. When was I there? December, early December. I was there recording a album, producing and recording an album for Oteil, Burbridge, Oteil. So
We heard a little bit about that. He was on the halftime at one of the Playing in the Sand Dead and Company things, talking about the new album.
nice. All right, cool. Yeah, so we had a really good time over there, and so yeah, while I was over there, they asked me to come back and kind of do it again. So yeah, looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I tell you, I feel like that particular spot has become the place. I know New Master Sounds were out there. I mean, I'm just constantly seeing people going there. So there's got to be something really special besides the location, of course. But like, what is it about that studio in particular? Do you think keeps drawing people back?
Well, I mean, I think obviously a lot of it has to do with the location. I mean, it's just a magical place, you know. Um, I mean, I personally love always being able to work in a studio setting like that, where you're not in a large city, so there's a lot of distractions and you know but with that said, this they just take it to a whole different level there. It's just it's an incredible place, and you're very well taken care of when you are there. So yeah, why wouldn't you want to go? So I'm helping to spread the word for them, so
Nice.
yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, one of the reasons that I reached out, in addition to, of course, your music, I'm such a fan of Vintage League and all the work that you do there. So I thought maybe we could just chat a little bit about, other goings on you might have at the label, and also Highwire too, that imprint, like what that's doing and kind of where you want that to go, because I've been looking into the artists that you've got on that one as well.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks for paying attention. We appreciate
Totally.
it. Um, well, yeah. So I guess Vintage League started. Wow, I don't even remember how long ago. A few years ago now, but at the onset of the global pandemic, I should say, my partner Rob and I really decided to dig in, um, because we all had time. So I began recording, writing a lot, and also recording and producing for other artists on VLM. So that's been going really really strong. We've been lucky enough to release an old Soulive record. That was a couple years ago now, I guess. Um, yeah, we have like just and this year we're gonna have some really cool stuff coming out. We're working on a Brother Goodlove album, and Brother Goodlove sang a song on my Crush Velvet and the Velveteers album. So from that kind of spawned his solo album. We have a brand new BTALC big band album that's coming out this in the next couple of months. Yeah, it's funny. I have a hard time keeping track. That's a good thing. I have a partner who does.
That's right.
um, so then, Highwire, that came about. It was interesting because being a independent label, at Vintage League, that is, we would occasionally, or more than occasionally, get hit up by people, different artists who were, oh, I have this band or this album. Would you guys be interested in checking it out? And we always will listen to stuff that people send us. But the issue that we were having is that Vintage League is a very uh, we it lives in a very specific lane, I guess. Soul kind of not. I don't like to call it retro soul, but it's very much soul music. But there were things that I mean, that's not all that I listen to. That's not all that I like. That just happens to be that label. So Rob and I, my partner Rob, decided that we should, create this imprint, Highwire, in the hopes of, or in, I shouldn't say hopes, to bring put out music other than what we just put out on Vintage League. So it's going to be more rock, electronic, jazz, pretty much everything but what we do on Vintage League. So yeah, we're really excited about. We have this woman Emm Gryner who used to sing with David Bowie. We're putting out an album for her. We're putting out her album soon. We've been releasing singles. This other group, the Deep State, from London, are just
They're
incredible. Like,
fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Really, good energy.
oh, oh, so we're releasing. They have a new single coming out pretty soon, and we're really excited about that. And again, the album soon to come. I have a group, a duo, I guess, with my buddy Chris Yunker. It's called the 7 Day Weekend, which the first album we put out on Vintage League, just because that was just the only thing too. But I never really felt like it really fit on that label. So now the new 7 Day Weekend material album, singles album, are going to be coming out on Highwire, which to me contextually makes more sense. Um, yeah, I mean it's just yeah, we're busy.
What struggles are you finding with being a record label? You want to sell physical stuff, and most people want to stream. How do you deal with keeping it afloat with the demise of the industry, really, the demise of record labels, really?
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna. It is a struggle. There's no doubt about that. So on the, there's two things on the physical side. We actually, our label and our supporters, are actually supporters of vinyl specifically. The issue that we've been having with that, though, is not the demand for vinyl on our side, but the manufacturing of it. I
Hmm.
mean,
I heard
so
Adele took all the vinyl.
well, you know what? No, that's actually that is totally true at that time.
Yeah.
And we kind of we got hit by that as well. We had to be honest, I can't remember which album it was that we were looking to press, and we were in queue, everything was looking good, and then all of a sudden like, oh no, there's this delay. And luckily enough, the people who handle all our manufacturing let us know. They said, yeah, no, Adele came in and just like basically scooped up every manufacturing, every pressing plant that they could.
Wow.
And so, hey, so that was the deal. But so early on in Vintage League, we were looking at maybe like a 3 to 4 month turnaround time for vinyl. And then soon after the pandemic, that um, we have one album that we just got in. I can't say which one it is because it's a big surprise, but it literally took a year.
Yeah.
I mean, we got it. We got the actual the not the test pressing, but the full production vinyl almost no exactly a year from when I delivered the masters to them. So supposedly things are getting better. They're speeding up now. But so anyway, so that's one issue that we've had is 2022 was a very slow year for us for vinyl. To be honest, I don't even remember if we put any out in 2022, which is crazy. Okay, so that's that side of things. Streaming, yeah, I mean, it is. Look, I mean, I don't really, I don't. I'm not the kind of cat who just lives in the past, and it is what it is. We all have to deal with it. I mean, the funny thing is like I could complain about it, but I use Apple Music all the time. Like it's great. It's great to have as a consumer. I mean, it's awesome. But as a creator, well, it's a little tougher. But I mean, those the days of making millions of dollars off of CDs and vinyl and cassettes and whatever you have it, that's in the past. So you just have to figure out ways of making a living if that is your if that's your goal. I mean, I work with a lot of people in the studio who are totally content, if or I wouldn't say content, happy with working their quote unquote day jobs and leaving space, creating space for their art. They know that a lot of people know that it's just a different world. It's a different world, and artists, a lot of musical artists now use come into the studio and use the services like what I provide, recording, mixing, all this kind of stuff. They upload their, music to all the, Apple Music, Spotify, and it's just it's a calling card, basically.
Hmm.
Just a way to, I mean, in the end, it's people are just trying to spread some music, their art, and that's the encouraging thing is that even though it's become a little bit more difficult to quote unquote make a living or make some money doing it. It's not stopping people from doing it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we could complain, all day and night about, oh, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all this kind of stuff. But
Ain't gonna
the,
change it.
yeah, no, yeah, it's not, yeah, yeah, you're not going to, well, I hear a lot of people who complain about it, but they don't offer any offer up any solutions. So,
Hmm.
you know, I mean, somebody said, "Oh," at one point it's like, "Hey, maybe streaming music would be kind of cool." And they did it. You know what I'm saying? It
I
wasn't
love
it
it as a consumer too. I mean,
Yeah.
anything I want to hear, I can go find. It's,
Yeah, yeah, it's great. I mean, and it is awesome that there are services or outlets like Bandcamp and like that you again, it's tougher, but having done this so long, it was never that easy in the first place.
Right
You
on.
know what I'm saying? Like, so,
Things shift, but yeah,
things
there's never
shift.
going to be the perfect whatever that would be, right? Anyway, no
Exactly,
one can live in that
exactly.
world.
Yeah.
Speaking of technology, I will mention because you mentioned Chris, and I think we're going to have him on here pretty soon. I was chatting with him the other day. Um, you all had released some stems. I think this was during COVID. It had to have been during like 2020 for one of the 7 Day Weekend songs, and
Yes.
I just thought that was such a cool thing to do. And I got in there and played around, and I just respected that you all would be so, I don't know if trusting's the right word, but you know what I mean, like comfortable to do that. So I think that's an example of doing something that's a little bit different, putting your
Ooh.
music out there in a new way.
Well, you know what? I totally forgot about that, and I'm glad you reminded me of that
It's
because
very cool.
we should do that again.
It's
We
a
should
good
definitely
time.
do that. Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it gives people the chance to think about things in a different way. So
Well, I like any opportunity to learn, right? So, and I to yes, I'm going to start there to learn. And I think it's really cool when you can experience uh it's funny cuz if you think about it, music is actually, and I could be wrong, but it's really cool to be able to share something like that with people. To you're almost like you take the mystery out of it. I mean, it's cool to be able to see the layers that that we
Mhm.
put into a song like that. I've been fortunate, over time to receive stems of or files from old recordings, old Motown recordings, or Michael Jackson, or just, Genesis, whatever. You can go down the line; they're out there, and it's just it's so much fun. Beatles, even actually, um, to just be able to listen to them in that context. You know what I mean? Not in the finished context, but in the context of them building it. So then you can really hear the individual elements. Um, it's really hard to do that. I mean, I'm a I'm a big Bob Ross fan. I love watching Bob Ross. I
Nice.
you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I was thinking about painting. It's very like in what context? I mean, you can't. It'd be really difficult to kind of deconstruct a painting like you can with offering up stems from a mix. So it's just really cool that like to strip it away and let people just experiment and learn. So I think yeah, it's just definitely gonna do that again because I completely forgot about that. So
Nice, nice. And I didn't even have that prepped. It just came to my mind as we were chatting. But I would love to take that like one level deeper.
mhm.
So you work with so many different artists, like you were just saying, across so many genres. What would be the kind of the perfect type of musician or creator that you would love to work with? Not a genre, not a person's name, but what qualities would someone have that would really make you feel like, yeah, like this is someone I could really do some great work with?
Hmm. That's wow. No one's ever asked me that before.
Great job, Amanda.
Yeah,
Hey,
that's wow.
it happens like once every 10 interviews, so you got it.
Well, I hope I can give you an answer that's is as good as that as the question. Um, hmm. I guess. Wow, that is a really good one. For me, I would say, hmm, wow. Okay. I was going to say is an artist that's I love confidence in artists. Um, not uh, someone who's confident in what they're trying to say. Um, that's to me. But with that said, I also work with a lot of artists who maybe aren't as confident, and there's something a lot of fun about that process as well. Especially if I'm coming at it from the and if I'm put in the producer's role, um, because if you can crack that code, the joy that there's, I love seeing the look and feel on someone's face when they kind of get over that, and you help them get over that. Um, so I- that's really tough. I mean, I guess I'd say I love working with artists who are very confident in their work, but not all artists are confident in themselves
Mhm.
um to express that work. It's kind of sounds a little funny, but so I to be honest, the working with someone who rides that line is I feel the most exciting.
Yeah. Well, and you like you said, you can see that growth and be a part of that. And to me, I would imagine that's got to be incredibly rewarding just to see that growth or change, however you want to think about it.
Exactly, exactly. Because the thing is like, I've been doing this a long time, and I'm not trying to say that what me being there is like exactly like I like to help, but even along the way, like helping them helps me learn how to do that at the same time. You know what I mean? So it's a discovery. I'm discovering something about myself in the process as well. So that's why I say that would be to me that's one of the most exciting, or would be the most exciting situation to be in, because I have an opportunity. I feel like I have an opportunity to learn,
Mm-hmm.
and I do, but just to be a part of that, something really special, is that's to me, that's the highest level. So
Yeah. I was a teacher for a long time, and one of the things that we would always talk about is servant leadership, and that's kind of what you're describing. We're all getting so much out of this. So
yeah,
that's
exactly, exactly. I mean, well, it's funny you said, 'cause, my both my parents were educators, so I I've always, I don't know if I've always completely understood that, and well, I've finally, but I never saw the correlation when I was really playing music, live. I always kind of felt like that was more of a, you're performing, so there's not the same connection, I guess, as opposed to being one on one, or one on one with an artist or a band or whatever in the studio creating. And to me, I feel like, I don't know, I feel more natural. It feels
mhm.
more natural for me to be doing that. So, yeah.
That'd be a cool research project. I'm not going to go down that road, but
Not
that's
yet. Not yet.
yeah. I'm going to put that one just over here on the side.
Hmm.
Awesome. So I know we've chatted a little bit about some of the studio stuff you're doing for others. Like, what about your own work? You have anything going on right now?
Yeah, kind of. I recently was inspired to start a new AE3, Alan Evans Trio thing. Not really sure if it's going to be an album or like a bunch of singles or an EP. I don't, for me, I don't like to put any pressure on myself to decide that ahead of time, because I feel like it blocks that part of the creative process. So right now we've started recording some stuff, and it's a lot of fun. Um, Other than that, that's pretty much it. I think I've learned to really listen to um, what the universe is kind of guiding me to do. And I haven't picked up my guitar seriously, like on a regular basis, in a few years, to be honest. Once I had the idea, or I shouldn't say, the idea came to me to start working out some new AE3 stuff. Obviously, I picked up the guitar and started writing. But right now, my focus really is on other people and not so much myself. I don't know. That's just kind of where I am right now. I mean, it's
When you were on the road all the time doing that,
yeah.
what configuration of a band did you prefer? Do you like a trio better? Do you like a bigger thing?
Well, I mean, I know I could probably, obviously, my the most experience I've had in that realm is obviously with Soulive. So, and I know I can speak um, for myself, obviously, and probably for Neil and Eric as well. But being in a trio is obviously with my brother as well. Like that doesn't hurt, you know. Is I hate to label things as being my favorite or whatever, but
Yeah, I gotta
um,
watch that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but it's really enjoyable without a doubt. You know, what I mean, and because we can, we can move. You know, we're very nimble. You know, what I'm saying, like wherever, wherever one person could take us, or I or Neil or Kraz or whatever can go down this one path, and it's very easy for us to follow. And and there's this constant interplay. But over time, I know that I, I can tell you, and I've told a lot of people, I could care less about a drum solo, and luckily we're not a band where that's not a big thing, But a lot of obviously a lot of the soloing duties fall then on Neil and Eric, and that's why people have seen us with horns and with vocalists over time, because after a while it's like, all right, those cats just want to break. Sometimes it's nice to just kind of sit in the back and just and be more of a rhythm, kind of rhythm band for other people. um so it's ebbs and flows, you know and then, after a while, I know when we had the horns and vocals and everything got really tight, we could go out there and just we knew everyone knew their parts. But then you start to realize, okay, well, it's really tight, but there's not a lot of room to move like when we were a trio. So you go back to the trio, and then you get tired of that, and you go back, just back and forth. There's
Never ending circle.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You just that's the thing. I mean, I think it's just like in anything creative, you just have to follow the the inspiration. Like listen to the universe, and it's going to tell you what where you're supposed to go. Best thing to do is not to fight it. So I think we were usually pretty good about following it.
Nice.
Usually, not all the time.
And and I guess in that same line of thinking, you all have the residency coming up this summer, right? At Blue Note, is that June?
It is June. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, it's like
So,
it's I think altogether it'll be 2 weeks, but I think there's some time in between each week or
yeah,
something like that. But yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. I mean, one, I've played at the Blue Note once, maybe once, and I've been there a few times. It's a small joint, so um intimate, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's the first, because we just did, when was the last time we played? Maybe Brooklyn. We did a bowl live run at bowl live or something like that, like last year or year before. I don't even remember now. Anyway, the um the first night is always just like, dusting off the cobwebs, and then after that, you're rolling, having
Do, do
having a
you
good time.
do you like the idea of a residency kind of thing as opposed to night after night gigs? Does it afford you more creativity space?
It I think so. I mean, or the potential. I
mhm,
mean, the, I've told a lot of people, yeah, I'm not touring anymore, but I can speak to my obviously my experience having done that. The one nice thing about being on tour is that, say you're always going to have really good nights, some so-so nights, and some bad nights. Now, the nice thing about the tour is like, well, if you have a bad night somewhere, it could have something to do with the environment or just a number of things. Well, you have a chance to get out of town, go somewhere else, and try again. Um, but but on the flip side of that, you may have an amazing night one night, and then this is great. Can't wait for tomorrow, and then tomorrow is just you know so you're just rolling the dice, so you never know. The nice thing about the residency, though, is that you get to settle in. There isn't all the travel and all this kind of stuff that can I wouldn't. You just never know with travel. I mean, things can be cool, but there's been times where I've woken up on the bus and we're like a mile down the street because the bus broke down. Like you just, and then it's just craziness getting to the next
How do
gig
I
or
get to
whatever.
Cleveland?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So again, just like with anything, it's who knows, but with that said, I do love, at this point, I love being able to just be set up. You show up the next day, like everything is exactly where it was the night before, and there's definitely a level of comfort that I enjoy in doing the residencies. So yeah.
Yeah, and that is a really cool room. So I'm from New Jersey,
Mm.
but have lots of personal history in New York and everything. And I'm always like, you're all going to stream this now. I live in Denver now, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, can I anybody there throw something up? I mean, they've really been doing some creative stuff. I feel like in the last couple of years, especially,
Yeah,
and so it's been interesting to watch.
yeah, definitely. I mean, well, I remember when I first lived in New York, it was like early 90s. And I remember just, walking around the West Village and walk past the Blue Note. You're like, man, but you'd look at what was happening. It was what you would expect to see at the Blue Note. So
Yep.
it is really cool. Like once I remember this is years ago now when they started doing the late night things where it was more cats like us, going in there like, that's actually one of the times I played there was with Sam Kinninger, way a long time ago, doing the late night thing. But yeah, it is really cool just to see them growing, trying to grow the audience, and just experimenting, doing some different things. I mean, it's a legendary place, so it's in a way, it's like, and you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, they have some flexibility, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, like I said, like I've never like I only played there that one time in the late night thing. So yeah, I'm definitely excited to kind of live in it for a little while. So
Sweet, very nice, awesome.
yes.
Kevin, is there anything? I know, want to make sure we get to anything that you had on your mind.
Well, I want to ask you the philosophy question.
All right.
It's another one of our hard questions. Do you have a philosophy on life, music?
Um yeah. Um hmm, I have a few. Um I, I keep saying, um, I keep going back to. You've heard me say it a few times, like listening to the universe. Um, I really feel that in terms of living a life in as an artist in music or the visual arts or whatever, that is to me the biggest part of it is the listening part. Listening to the universe because the inspiration, creativity, it's out there all the time, it's happening, and um we just receive these messages. I never feel like it's always funny. It's hard for me to, when it comes time to put down credits for something, okay, yeah, I played some instruments on this and I did this and that, but the I always have a hard time crediting myself as the songwriter or the composer or whatever. I just feel like it was kind of given to me and I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. I was listening and I just kind of transcribed that idea rather than me saying, "Oh yeah, I created this." Like, no, not really. I was in the right place at the right time. So anyway, in terms of like music or art, to me, it's just listening to the universe. But then again, with life, I feel it's the same thing. We all like we've all been in situations where you shouldn't be doing this or that, or I really should, you know, this would be good for me. And so many times, whether it be what you're eating, exercise, everything. We all know what we should be doing
Hmm.
because the universe is helping to guide us. You know what I mean? Like, and again, it's about whether you listen or not. And I've done my fair share of not listening. And when I know I've been in situations where I wasn't, and things were just really hard. Just, things around me, things were happening. And it's just like, dude, it's the universe is telling you not to be here or not to do this or to do this, to do, follow this path. So I just feel that that's the I don't know if that's the meaning of life, but I know that that will help make your life a lot easier.
Easier.
Yeah.
And whatever, and we all know, like, and I'm not going to say everything's just going to be a golden path to just joy and happiness, and we all have to deal with stuff along the way,
Mhm. I
and
always say
and that's
it's like
good.
I always say it's like driving down a dark road. You can see 20 feet in front of you with the headlights, and you
Right.
might hit a speed bump too fast, but it's
Exactly.
still only a speed bump. You're still moving forward.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly, and that's the thing. I mean, you learn from all those experiences, and it's how you frame it,
Hmm.
you know.
Totally.
Exactly.
I mean, I was
That's
watching
beautiful.
last night. We were watching this great documentary. It was on the Archbishop Desmond Tutu and Dalai Lama, and these two were dropping so much knowledge, and just the love that they have for each other that's actually, to me, was like the best part. I highly say, if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest checking out, because just seeing these two cats together will warm your heart. Like, it's just amazing. But just, you know they go into some depth about what they each went through in life to, and to get to where they are right now. And you check these situations out, their lives, and then how much love they have for humanity and life. It's like, man, how can I complain about anything? You know what I mean? Like, they've seen some crazy stuff in their lives, and for them to still just be in love with the world and with life it's just is very inspiring. So,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. That's how I'm not even gonna say try, because trying is lying. I just, that's how I live my life. Just love and appreciation.
There's
You
a lot
do.
of like stoic philosophy in there. I won't go down this road, but
I'm
you know, like it's not even it's the receiving, but it's also what you put out, the expectations management, which I've worked really hard on, and it's a learning process forever, right? But like,
well, exactly, and you're right. There is a lot of stoic philosophy in there for sure. I mean, that's the thing. It's like happiness comes from within, and all this. There's going to be so many variables that happen outside of you that you can't control. You're not supposed to control. They're out of your control. But it's like how you view these situations, how you frame them, and how you deal with them. So my father always used to say, like, there's two ways of looking at something, negatively or positively. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
mhm,
that's it. So again, I mean, I'm about to turn 49 in a little over a month or whatever. I mean, it's taken me some time to get here, obviously, like, and
Hmm.
I got a long way to go, but I feel like I'm better equipped now. I have like the tools. I'm grabbing the right tools along the way,
Yeah.
So
Well, I love that you've embraced that you don't really want to tour anymore. That's we talked to this guy named Jimmy Montague, and he was talking about how touring wasn't sustainable for one thing for what he does with strings and horns and things, but that he just didn't like it anymore. He would rather be in the studio and create that way.
yeah, well, yeah, it's funny. Like I had an experience. I was just retelling this story the other day, but it was. I remember Soulive. We had a run right around Valentine's Day, so almost in 2020. So basically, right before everything, just we all know. So we did that run. Maybe a week later, I did another show with some friends, and the following day we were gonna go uh, to a volleyball tournament with our daughter. So I was playing this show kind of locally in the Western Mass, Connecticut area. Then I was gonna have to drive home, wake up early, and then go back to Connecticut somewhere for the volleyball tournament. Anyway, I'm sitting backstage. We were headlining this show, and I'm like hanging out. And the opening band was playing, and it was probably about 11:30 at night. I'm just like, all right. And I just started having like this conversation, and probably with the universe. And all of a sudden, I pictured myself. I shouldn't say even I pictured myself. I had this feeling like deja vu almost. And I was like, you know what? I realized at that moment, like when I was 14 years old, I was doing the same exact thing in Buffalo, New York. I was waiting for the opening band to end before I went out and played. And right at that moment, it kind of hit me. I was like, I had this vision or a feeling. It was more like a vision of a cup. And it was like telling me, he's like, Al, whatever experiences that you were trying to fill in this cup, or you were trying to fill this cup with experiences over in this life as a musician or whatever. It's like, dude, that cup is overflown many, many times. It's cool. Like you just don't have to do it anymore. And it just hit me. I was like, you know what? I'm done. So the next day we were driving down to this festival. I mean, I'm sorry, festival. Yes, look at that Freudian slip. We were driving down to this volleyball tournament, and our daughter was just in the back kind of hanging out. And I told her about what happened. I was like, you know what? I'm just done. I'm cool. Like it's time for me to do something else. And sure enough, like a week later, the world shut down.
Wow.
There's your
And so,
sign, huh?
yeah, there you go. So luckily, I've been engineering, a studio engineer for what 30 some years. So I had other skills other than just picking up some drumsticks and being on stage. You know what I'm saying? So, but at the beginning of the pandemic, none of us knew how long. It's like 2 weeks, whatever. Cool, maybe 3 weeks. But I remember Kim and I were out walking, and I was like, you know what? I don't know how long this little break is going to be, but I had a pretty good feeling it was going to be longer than what we were being told. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to, at the end of it, I'm not going to look back and say, man, I wish I would have done more with the time. So right then is kind of when like I said, going back to the early part of our conversation, that's really when I dug in the studio and on Vintage League and all this kind of stuff. And besides all of that, um, I worked on myself. That was the biggest thing. Like at first, okay, yeah, the decision, I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. Cool. All right. Well, what are you going to do now? And it wasn't about the financial side of things or whatever, but it's about what am I going to do? Because I started playing out in clubs when I was like 11 years old. I never made the decision to become a musician. It just kind of this what I always did, and all of a sudden, it's like, I'm not gonna do it anymore. And so much of what I thought, and many people, in any if they've done anything for a long period of time, they will tell you that sometimes it's hard to separate the self from what you're doing. It become You think that's what you are. There's a lot of kind of ego stuff to kind of deal with. And so I realized I had to work on that first. I had to ex I had to learn or accept who I was, not the musician, not the song or the whatever, but just me. So that was an amazing kind of journey in itself, and then I really I was meditating quite a bit during those times. I really got back to exercising, being in a routine. I mean, I thought I was healthy. I was, in terms of a touring musician, I was definitely on the. I was cool, you know what I'm saying, but I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be, mentally, physically, and so I took that time to work on all that stuff. So now, to be honest, you it's easy for me to say I'm done touring, and it has nothing to do with my lack of love for me. I love music. I love creating. Um, but it just got to a point where I'm at a point now where there's only so much of myself I can share with people. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
But
and
you are with what you're doing in the studio. It's the
of
Steely
course,
Dan effect, you know?
of
It's
of course, of course. Look, I mean, I also knew when I was younger that, and I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody. Everybody's path is different, but I knew I wasn't going to be 80 years old on stage somewhere. I knew that. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't know when I was going to not do that any longer, but I knew that just from experiences I had when I was younger. So, oh, so and so's coming through town. We're gonna go check them out, and you're like, yeah, that wasn't like, like the record, or what I'm saying, like, cats get older, and not everybody stays on the level. You know what I mean? Or not many people keep progressing, keep
Mhm.
building. It's tough. That is really tough. And I just knew that I didn't want to make the sacrifices to attempt that. It
Yeah.
just wasn't in my nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, I so again, everything kind of worked out the way it did, and I'm extremely happy. I had a great run of being on the road and doing traveling and meeting great people and seeing great places. Forever grateful for that experience. But um I'm cool to do some other things now. So,
So there's something I really would love to know, and I've not asked this question to anyone, but it's been on my mind for a long time. Kevin's like, "What is she going to say?" So growing up, I mentioned Northeast, running around, seeing tons of music in the mid late '90s is kind of when I was coming up in high school and whatnot. There's a number of bands that I've loved for a long time that ended up being like scooped up into the jam band scene. And since we're all that jam, I feel like this is an appropriate question. But I've always kind of wondered, how did they feel about that? Because that is its own ecosystem, right? The fans that see that kind of music. I had read an article a long time ago, Medeski Martin and Wood, kind of talking about how they were, absorbed to some degree for a point in time. And that wasn't necessarily something that they had ever strived for. It happened for you all, like back in the day. Um, that happened, right? And
mhm.
I always have wanted to know, were you all like, oh, great, we got this dedicated fan base over here now, or was it like, who are these people? And like, what are we a part of now that maybe we didn't even anticipate? Does that make sense? Like,
Oh no, no,
yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. Trust me. So look, there are definitely look. We never called ourselves a jam band. So okay, so that
That,
you know what I'm saying. Like,
I
so
wonder, like,
we were graciously accepted into the community, right? Now, whether or not we graciously accepted, you know, like, like that's a whole different story. And yeah, I'd say that we I you know, probably early on, you have your, idea of what you want your thing to be. You know what I'm saying? I mean, obviously, look at, like, early on in Soulive. No, yeah, you have your yeah, you have an idea of what you wanna be. But the thing is, what you learn, what you discover, it's not about what you want at all. It's about what the audience wants. You know what I mean? Those are the people who are coming to see you. They're coming to, they're helping you make a living. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, you can't fight it. And and on top of that, I mean, what better community to be a part of? To be honest, you know what I'm saying? Like, Um, I mean, if you just look at the whole jam band community from the audience members to the bands and like like you can play damn near any style of music and if people are digging it, you're in.
mhm.
So everyone is represented for the most part. Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone's represented. I hate blanket statements, but, so I'm gonna try and steer
There
away
was a
from that.
positive feeling
There's
towards
a
it.
Yeah.
very positive feeling, you know what I mean? Like, there's a very supportive community. That's what you know what I'm saying? So, it's a beautiful thing. Um, so, yeah, I mean, early on, like, yeah, it was I wouldn't say it was tough because hey, like people are coming out and they were checking us out, and every time we'd come through town, there'd be more people there. So
I used to
What's
work at
the
the
hate?
Funk Box, and you guys would come through and play, and it was always a
Yes,
rager there.
Times, yeah.
that's right,
You
man.
one night you guys did "Tighten Up," and I was like, "I love that song. Oh my god, I can't believe they did Tighten Up."
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah. That was always a fun one. Yeah, yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you for humoring me on that. That's just something that has been in kind of buried in here for a long time because, as we know, a lot of bands that is their destination point from day one, right? But I know that that's not the case for a lot of other artists. It happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We want to get big in the jam band scene.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny. Like, I remember, and yeah, I have this one story, and it had MMW and Soulive were doing a show together. This is a long time ago, and I think this was maybe before. I have to confirm this with John at some point, but I'm gonna say my side of the story anyway because I think it's pretty funny. So we were doing this show down in North Carolina, and I remember like the place was just packed, you know what I'm saying? Like, a bunch of hippies there, just, everyone's just having a great time. And these cats, they were doing the MMW thing. They're set all way back in the back, as far back in the, stage as they possibly could. I don't know what that was about, but whatever. It was a thing. But I remember they were like playing and they'd get into this groove, right? and and everyone started dancing. People were just like grooving. And as soon as everyone started grooving, these dudes went into some outer space, like, avant-garde stuff. And I was just like, man, these cats, yo, man, let the people dance. So like I said, I don't know if that was like a conscious decision on their part,
Yeah,
but I have a
intention.
feeling it was. But like, so anyway, it was
Oh,
pretty
good.
funny, pretty funny.
I love that. Yeah, like, hey.
Yeah, you know, like, oh no, we're only gonna go so far here. Okay,
Like,
but yeah,
We
awesome.
love bands that troll the audience. We're Amanda and I are huge Fish fans, and Fish
mm-hmm,
spends their life trolling the audience. You know?
There is a mentality, yeah, that gets, especially for like a certain era of us. That, I mean, listen, you mentioned you've been playing music since whatever age. You know, for me, concerts, that's been it since I was like 12,
yeah,
13. It was just
mm-hmm,
all around. It was so accessible, and you could just hop on a train and go wherever.
yep,
So it just becomes a part of who you are, and you don't realize maybe it's not like that in
right,
other. That may not be the thing that's happening everywhere else,
exactly.
at least as far as I know. But who knows?
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. I hear
Well,
that.
I know we're coming up at the top of the hour. This has been so fantastic. Seriously, I cannot thank you enough. I
Oh,
really
thank
just appreciate
you.
doing this. Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, this is great. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to you having Chris on. That's going to be he's an individual. He's a great cat. You know, he
For sure.
that's my boy. He is wow. You talk about someone who's tuned in creatively and
Mhm.
just tuned. He's tuned in. He really is. I love that cat. So.
Yes. Well, we're excited for that. And I know, Kevin, you always have some important reminders like housekeeping stuff. Is there
Well, yeah,
anything?
I'll add that on the other side.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, let me stop.